Hi, Will Layton here. In this video, I'm going to share with you my top 5 tips on how to find a great deal on a house in Virginia Beach. Everybody wants a good deal. So where do you go to find the best listings at the lowest price? What's the secret? Where do you look? How do you find a great deal? How about foreclosures, short sales, for sale by owners? Is there a secret inside track? Here are my top 5 tips on finding a great deal. Tip number 1, the good deals are hiding in plain sight. The trick isn't to look where no one else is looking. The trick is to see what nobody else is seeing. Just like success, the road to a good deal is well lit, but it takes some work to get there. In this case, it takes education. The more educated you are on a subject, the more likely you are to recognize the opportunities when they present themselves. And they will present themselves. That's why you're watching this video. You're educating yourself so that you'll recognize the opportunities. Let's go through a few different types of listings to see if we can uncover opportunities. Foreclosures, are they good deals? They can be, but for the same reason every other house could be a good deal. When you and I talk about buying a foreclosure, we're generally talking about a property that's owned by the bank. It used to be owned by a regular person who took out a mortgage, but for whatever reason they didn't pay their mortgage and the bank repossessed the house. Now the bank owns it and is trying to sell it, but there's still a person on the other side of the deal. The bank has an asset manager whose job it is to get as much money as possible for the sale of the house. So you'll find foreclosures listed right next to all the other homes for sale. The biggest difference is that the bank owns the property rather than a person. Sometimes the bank hires someone to fix up the house so it's in good condition. Sometimes the house is a disaster. A foreclosure can be a great deal, but not necessarily because it's a foreclosure. How about short sales? Are they good deals? They can be, but for the same reason every other house could be a good deal. A short sale is what happens when the person who owns the house owes more money to the bank than the house is worth. He wants or needs to sell, but needs approval from the bank to forgive a portion of the debt he owes on the house. The problem with short sales is that there are a lot of unknowns. The biggest unknown is often whether or not the bank will forgive the debt and approve the short sale at all. So for example, the seller could accept your offer, the paperwork could get sent to the bank where it could sit for months as the bank collects other offers from other potential buyers. And then the bank could say, no, we don't approve this. And you, the buyer, are left with nothing. This has actually happened to me. I've represented the buyer. We waited 6 months for the bank to approve the short sale, and then they foreclosed on the property and took it off the market. It didn't sell for another year. On the flip side, sometimes it happens just as quickly as buying any other house. So the problem is that you just don't know. So if you got all the time in the world, you might be able to get a good deal on a short sale. Or you might just waste 18 months of your life. Who knows? Needless to say, I don't think much of short sales. How about FSBOs, or for sale by owners? Are they good deals? They can be, but for the same reason any other house could be a good deal. The problem with FSBOs is that 9 out of 10 of them are overpriced. Every agent is a little bit hesitant dealing with FSBOs because we've seen this story before. Without professional advice, the owner may or may not know what the home is worth, may or may not know how to negotiate, and may or may not understand the process. Like short sales, there's an element of the unknown, and so there's always the worry that your time is being spent fighting to get a fair deal on an overpriced home. FSBOs rarely, if ever, price their homes too low, so you're not going to find a good deal here. The best you can hope for is a fair deal. How about the house that's not on the market yet? What if you could get the inside scoop and get them to sell it to you for way below market value? Would that be a good deal? Yeah, it would. And you'll find that good deal right next to the snake oil that cures everything and the baby unicorns. What do all those things have in common? They just don't exist. The good deals are hiding in plain sight. You just have to recognize the opportunity and take it. Tip number 2, the market doesn't lie. If a house has been on the market for a long time, say over 6 months, I often get asked, do you think we could get it for a lower price? And I believe the answer is almost always yes, unless the seller can't sell it for less and takes it off the market. The number 1 reason a house is on the market for a long time is because it's overpriced. This is really important, so let me repeat that. The number 1 reason a house is on the market for a long time is because it's overpriced. There are other reasons. For example, a fairly priced house might be unique and appealing to only a very small number of buyers. The seller could simply be waiting for the right buyer. But most of the time, the reason a house is just sitting and not selling is because the price is too high. So when you see a house that's been on the market for months and months, are you going to ask me, hey Will, why do you think that house isn't selling? It's actually a very common question. That's why I'm addressing it here. And now you know the answer. The market is telling you the house is overpriced. Tip 3, be fast, be first. Can you make a great deal out of any listing by simply buying it for less? Of course the answer is yes. The important thing to remember is that there's a real person just like you on the other side of every deal. And that person wants to get the best deal for himself, just like you want to get the best deal for yourself. And that's how the market works. If a house is priced too high and the seller won't drop his price, no one will buy it. but sometimes the asking price is a great deal. In this case, you can get a great deal on a house by simply offering the asking price. This is most likely to happen with new listings because others haven't had a chance to look at the house yet. So look out for the new listings and be the first to recognize a great deal. Tip number 4, see what the others can't see. The ugly house can be a great deal. Now we're talking about the condition of the house. There's almost nothing that's wrong with a house that can't be fixed. Some things are more expensive than others, like roofs and HVAC systems, but other things, like the condition and color of the paint, carpet, landscaping, these things can be changed at a much lower cost and have a much bigger effect on how someone feels about the house. You see, as a general rule, buyers make the decision to buy a house starting with how they feel about it. It's an emotional decision. You have to like what you see first, and then they start to rationalize the decision. And a house that's ugly and smells like a nursing home isn't the house that makes the short list. But if you can see past the cosmetics, and that includes the seller's personal belongings and clutter, you might be able to see what others can't. And that can sometimes look like a great deal. Tip number 5, a great deal can be more than just the price. Sometimes a great deal is about getting what you want or avoiding something that would turn out to be a mistake. Buying a house with a kitchen that's been remodeled just the way you like it and a new pool can be a much better deal than buying a house and adding them down the road. This is worth discussing later, and I'll have another video that covers this subject in depth. On the flip side, if you think you're getting a house for a good price but it ends up being in a neighborhood that's a bad fit, you have 2 choices. Suck it up and suffer, or put the house back on the market and move. Both of these options are bad deals compared to the alternative. Learn about the neighborhoods and buy it right the first time. How many times have you bought something for a good price and it's turned out to be cheap? Then you have to turn around and buy the thing that you should have bought the first time. It's a waste of money. With a house, buying it right the first time is even more important. Let's say you make a mistake and buy a $500,000 house in the wrong neighborhood. It will cost you 8 to 10% of the price of the house in fees and taxes to sell it and buy the one you should have bought in the first place. That's $40,000 to $50,000. That's a big mistake. In this case, buying the house in the right neighborhood the first time would be a much better deal for you than getting a good price in the wrong neighborhood. And there you have it, 5 tips to finding a great deal on a house in Virginia Beach. Up next, my top 3 online sites to search for homes so that you don't miss the best new listings. You don't want to miss this one. As always, if you have any further questions, please let me know.